Hey guys, this is David Niven. I'm one of the men's basketball coaches at Union. Um, we are a month into being quarantined and separated from one another. I think this is the end of my third week uh, at home. On a typical year, this weekend I would be on the road recruiting. It's a Friday morning right now. I would be in Atlanta or Indianapolis or Louisville or somewhere sitting in a gym watching a bunch of kids trying to find players for the coming years. Um, and while there's a big part of me that would love to be on the road recruiting today, I know there's a lot of good that can come from where we are and from being at home right now. So I want to encourage you, instill in you some hope, give you some ideas of why to be hopeful. The last couple weeks I've been in the book of James and studying that, and I think it's the way James starts his letter is appropriate for all of us today. He's writing this to believers that have been scattered throughout the Roman world because of their faith. They're being persecuted because of their faith. And so I'm speaking to our athletes today who have been scattered throughout the United States for a different reason, but I think there's a correlation through some of this. So he starts off, the very first thing he says to these people in James 1 verse 2 is, says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." So one thing I know about what took place in the history of this time is that God was working. Despite difficult circumstances, he had a plan for the persecution of his people. And that was just to scatter them so that the word of the gospel would be spread to the nations. And so we are a result of that today as believers, of that plan working through difficult circumstances. And so today we've been scattered for different reasons, but I know this to be true, that God is still working through the difficult circumstances we face. He is using this time and for a purpose. And his purpose for you may be different than his purpose for me during this time. But I see God's hand at work. We are to consider it joy. I've got a note in here that that's a conscious commitment, that we are to actually think about this as pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds. I wrote in here the word trials is anything that breaks the pattern of peace or comfort or happiness that we seek and long for in our daily lives. Certainly this fits that definition of a trial. That comfort, that peace, much of the happiness that we chase after has been disrupted as a result of this. And we are to consider it joyful when this happens, because we know that the testing of our faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. God has a plan and a purpose for all of this. He's working in thousands of ways behind the scenes that we cannot see and do not know, but we have hope and we have trust and we have faith because we know that he's a good and generous and loving God. And so I want to encourage you with that. I'll leave you with the idea of this. And it's easy to look at all this and think about all that we're missing out on. It's easy to look at our lives over the last month and look at, man, we have lost this. Many of you have lost seasons and aren't able to compete in your freshman year, your junior, sophomore, your senior year. We've lost a lot. You know, this year was, for Christmas, we gave my children a trip to the Final Four. Typically, that's reserved for Mandy, Beth, and I only. No kids. Leave them at home. This year, we made the sacrifice. Say, all right, we'll bring them with us. And it's, if they're watching this, I don't want them to think that we dreaded that. We were super excited to bring our kids with us for that weekend. But that was their Christmas present. That's been taken. At this point, they haven't come back and asked for another Christmas present, so I'm hoping they don't see this. I may have just put something in their head, but all that to say, man, it's easy for us to focus on the things that we've lost. I want to encourage you with this. Psalm 103 verse 2 says, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits." I encourage you today to count your blessings. We know that God's at work. He's at work in the midst of all of this. That's a blessing. It's a blessing for me to be able to coach at Union University. In the same way, I can tell you over the last month, I have received more emails, more kids reaching out per day. I mean, we get a lot regularly, but I would venture to say we're upwards into the thousands over the last month of kids that want to be Bulldogs. And I'm sure that's true for all of our coaches all across the campus. It is a blessing to be a student athlete at Union University. I want you to take heart that there are thousands of kids that want to be in your shoes, that want to be a Bulldog or a Lady Bulldog, and man, we should look to those things as blessings. So I encourage you to count your blessings. Enjoy the time you get with your family. Take advantage of the opportunities that we have, but do not forget all the Lord's benefits. We're praying for you, praying for you, and we're hopeful of the time that we're going to be back together very soon. So all the best. We love you, and stay encouraged.